everyone, and welcome to our fourth annual Google Cloud Startup Summit. I'm Elena Ambiana, Global Startups and SMB Marketing Director here at Google Cloud, and I am thrilled to be your host today. Alongside Google Cloud Next, the Startup Summit is our biggest event of the year for early to mid-stage startups. Each year, we focus on a topic that is top of mind for startups. And not surprisingly, this year, we are talking about how startups are driving impact with Gen AI. The number of AI startups that have joined our Google for Startup Cloud program has grown exponentially over the past year. And today, you'll hear from some of our startup founders. You'll also hear from VCs like Capital G and Lightspeed Venture, accelerators, partners, and Google executives, including our CEO, Thomas Kurian. They'll dive into the latest Gen AI advances and challenges shaping the current startup climate and offer advice so you can tap into the opportunities we see today. At Google Cloud, we are dedicated to startups, and we are showing our commitment to founders and developers in the ways that matter the most. Accelerating growth, enabling go-to-market, providing physical spaces that nurture community and innovation, enhancing skills and knowledge development, and of course, leading the way in Gen AI. To build on this momentum, I want to share 6 exciting announcements for startups. My first announcement is about our startup school. We are investing more into AI education for founders and developers. And today, I'm excited to invite you all to sign up for our startup school, Gen AI. This is a 4-week immersive and free training series that starts on Tuesday, October 29th. It will help you master Google Cloud AI from Vertex AI to Gemini through live interactive classes with Google AI experts and industry partners. Please register today by scanning the QR code. For my second announcement, if you are in London or Sao Paulo, be sure to check out our new Google Cloud Startup Hubs. Many of you are watching from our Sao Paulo hub, which opened today, and will be visiting our London hub opening on October 15th. At these physical cloud startup spaces, you'll be able to collaborate in person with other startups, Google Cloud customer engineers, and startup success managers. Whether you want to talk AI, data, infrastructure, growing your startup or more, they will be here to assist you. You can also attend VC talks about fundraising trends and best practices, participate in developer roundtables, and learn through hands-on workshops. These 2 new Google Cloud Startup Hubs in London and Sao Paulo complement our Google for Startup campus locations in Tel Aviv, Seoul, Tokyo, Warsaw, and all of the other cities where we also run cloud-focused workshops, office hours, and programs for startups. Now, most of you will already be familiar with our Google for Startups Cloud program that empowers early-stage startups by offering financial support with up to $200,000 and $350,000 for AI startups in cloud credits, advanced technical resources, expert guidance, and business growth assistance, including mentorship and networking opportunities to accelerate innovation and growth. To build on our startup program and continue to help startups build and grow, we are increasing our partnership with startup ecosystem players. I am excited to share 3 new programs designed to help you build and go to market faster. The first one is ISV Startup Springboard, a new global 12-week program dedicated to accelerating growth for ISV startups through joint co-selling and co-marketing opportunities. The program will include support on building and developing go-to-market assets, getting listed on Google Cloud Marketplace, and much more. Learn more and register your interest today by clicking this QR code. The second program is our Y Combinator partnership to bring dedicated access to NVIDIA H100 GPUs and Google Cloud GPUs, cloud credits, support, and mentorship to Y Combinator's summer of 2024 cohort of early stage AI-first startups. And we are also partnering with leading early stage accelerators and incubators around the world, such as 500, StartX, Berkeley Skydeck, and others, to give early stage founders access to a special package of Google Cloud credits, expert guidance, and technical workshops supporting them as they build and grow. I hope that startup founders and developers listening today will find value in these new launches. With that, I'm thrilled to welcome our Google Cloud CEO, Thomas Kurian, and our Google Cloud Vice President of Marketing, Alison Wagenfeld, for the opening keynote. Have a great Startup Summit. Thank you.
Hello, and thanks for joining us at the 2024 Google Cloud Startup Summit. I'm Alison Wagenfeld, and I head up marketing at Google Cloud and have been working with startups throughout my career. At Google, we are thrilled to support startups at all stages of growth, and I'm incredibly excited to have Google Cloud CEO Thomas Kurian here with me today. Welcome, Thomas.
Hi, Alison. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So I want to kick off with a question about the time you spend with startup founders. I know you really enjoy spending time, and I want to get your perspective on what are you hearing from them?
You know, startups are a broad ecosystem, right? There are startups that have a variety of different flavors, and when we work with them, we see all kinds of different things in different parts of the world. We work with startups that are focusing on AI and building foundation models. There are companies trying to reinvent software as a service by building applications using our Gemini models, for example, in a variety of different domains. There are startups focusing in specific industries. For example, we've worked closely with a variety of biotech startups that are doing things like advanced protein modeling, advanced work in genomics. There are fintech startups that we work with in many different parts of the world. There's a dedicated focus we have on companies that are in the crypto or Web3 ecosystem. So there's a variety of different flavors of startups, and they have a variety of different needs. And part of the way we work with them is to build very specific teams focused on their needs, not just about bringing technology to them, but also what are their needs for growth and how do we support them from the very early stages.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I know across Google, we spend a lot of time thinking about investing in the startup ecosystem all up. I want to now talk a little bit more about AI. You mentioned that this is obviously one of the biggest growth areas, and AI innovation is moving at such a fast pace. And I know it's super challenging to keep up and to be able to build and scale a startup while the technology is constantly shifting. How are you seeing startups stay on top of all this, and how is Google Cloud helping across all the layers of the stack?
You know, we've always felt at Google that for AI, we need to support startups in 3 or 4 different ways. The first one is providing them those startups that are focusing on building foundational models, access to our technology infrastructure, meaning our accelerator systems, that whether it's GPUs or TPUs, super high performance storage, the ability to build large scale clusters. So the first thing we're doing is giving them access to our entire technology stack so they can build great foundation models with it. It's not just the chips, but it's also the software layer. Things like JAX, our compilers, our pathways technology. That's super interesting to a number of startups. So that's one. Second is there are a number of them that want to build models, but also want to reach the developer ecosystem. And we're helping them reach through the developer ecosystem to the many, many developers that we have by bringing them in their models onto Vertex, which is our platform. I personally worked with Anthropic, with Cohere, with Mistral, with AI21 Labs. These are examples of companies that we've helped with taking their model and then bringing it to the developer ecosystem. We also have a number of startups using our platform for building applications. And applications, for example, we work with Typeface, that's building an application in the area around marketing, content creation, and the ability to create advertising in a brand new way. So that's an example. We work with Magic, a company that's building software development-focused applications to assist people in writing software code. And so we assist people who are building applications. Some of them are using our models, Gemini, Imagine, and there's a large number of startups doing that. Some of them are also building applications and using our infrastructure for things like billing, customer care, because they don't have the resources to do it themselves. And we provide that infrastructure to them so they can get distribution, they can focus on building the best product, and we bring it to market with them.
Great to hear. I know that we're proud that nearly 90% of GenAI unicorns and more than 60% of funded GenAI startups are Google Cloud customers. And that is in large part because of the integrated ecosystem and platform that we offer. I also want to talk a little bit, go into more specifics on developers. So we know that more than 2 million developers are building with our GenAI solutions. How are developers accessing Google's AI innovation? And what are you hearing? And what are some of the investments that we're doing specifically for developers right now?
We're working with the developer ecosystem in a variety of different ways. I'll touch on just 3 examples that I've seen. One is to give people access to Google's models, to developers building apps. And we offer for small developer teams and individual developers a product called AI Studio, which makes it very easy to build applications. And for teams that are larger in scale or building applications that are more focused to enterprises, we offer a platform called Vertex. Both are, our focus has been to put together all the capabilities that developers need. Because when you actually use a model to build an application or an agent, you actually need a variety of capabilities. You need the ability to tune the model, to evaluate the quality of the model, to ground it in either the web or private data to improve the quality of the answers, to be able to do retrieval augmented generation. So there's a variety of capabilities you need when you build with a model. And so we provide that in the platform. We've also provided an open platform because we know developers want a choice of models. So you can use our models, you can use top tier third-party models, and you can use the best open source models, whether that's Llama, Mistral, there's a variety of them that we support. Why are we doing that? Because we want to provide developers the ability to learn a set of tools, but then access the best models. And we offer over 150 models now in the platform for a variety of different tasks and domains. So that's the second thing we're doing. Third thing, for developers, we invested in training, certification, support for them. When they're building applications, you can access a support organization to get help if you get stuck. We've got various other programs like startup credits that we're offering developers who work in startups. Finally, developers really need to communicate and work with teams. So we also are seeing huge interest in Google Workspace, Gmail, chat, Google Meet for conferencing, code design. And so we've also brought our collaboration tools to the developer ecosystem. And if you talk to most of the startups in the world and most of the developers in the world, they use Google Workspace as their collaboration platform.
That's great. Thank you for sharing all those different examples of how we're working specifically in helping developers. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the tangible business impact we're seeing from AI. I know you light up when you talk to customers and hear their stories about real use of AI to drive growth, reduce costs, increase efficiency. Can you share a couple of examples from companies that are using AI in production right now?
We've always been careful not to overhype AI. And there's a tendency in the tech community to overhype what it can do. And often that leads to people having a backlash against it. So we've been very careful about saying, let's have those who are successful using our AI talk about it for us rather than us talk about it. But we're seeing really great use of AI in a variety of places. Just as a very specific example, customer care and changing the way you work with customers. We've seen people build, for example, an in-car experience to assist people while they're using a vehicle and talking to the vehicle, and not just having speech to text, but actually having an intelligent system in the vehicle. The work we're doing with Wendy's and McDonald's, taking AI and putting it in the point of actual customer engagement so that when you're in a drive-thru at Wendy's, you can talk to it. And that allows you to get way better customer service. The work we've done at many telecommunications companies to help their customer care reach better. And by reach better, handle more inquiries, upsell and cross-sell products so you can drive more top-line revenue, and also make it much more efficient in answering questions. So there's many things we've seen in the customer side. We've seen people building products using AI. One of the examples that we've seen is Samsung, where they took the Galaxy smartphone, put our AI into it, and reimagined the device not as a device with software on it, but as an AI-enabled device. And so we've seen they have a huge number of users, millions and millions of people doing it. Similar example, we're super excited with what Snap has done, putting our AI into the Snap social media platform so that you can talk to an AI-powered, if you will, assistant or buddy, and that buddy can provide you a variety of services. It can help you answer questions, it can talk to you and assist you in a variety of ways. So we're seeing the second thing is people reimagining products in a variety of ways. And the third is helping people within the company do things faster, better, more efficiently. One of the things we've been super proud of is the work we've done with many healthcare organizations, helping doctors and nurses find information better. These are all examples of things where we're taking a task that is done a particular way and then transforming it in a different way by applying AI, thereby assisting people with better information faster. And all of these are different ways when people talk about productivity. When we look at the nurse example, just being able to help the nurses be at the bedside of the patient, taking care of them, rather than being away from the patient, sitting at a computer and typing notes, allows them to take better care of people, but it's a fundamental improvement in productivity that they couldn't do before. So these are all different domains. Every day we get surprised, to be honest with you. I've seen so many creative uses of the technology that we could have never fathomed, and we're always thrilled when we see them.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know last week we had our Gemini at Work event where we had over 50 different customer stories and some really interesting marketing use cases, of course, which are near and dear to my heart, where a company created a roving billboard that changed every block into a new type of billboard message on that, which would have been impossible before Gemini and before AI. So it is great, and definitely encourage all of you to check out all of the use cases that we had shared last week at that Gemini at Work event, both across Google Cloud and Google Workspace. Mark Cuban has been sharing stories about how his use of Gemini for Workspace has completely changed how he's building his business as well. So super exciting.
And we're seeing real business results, Allison. I mean, when we spoke with the CEO of Puma, for example, the shoe company, or when we worked with Radisson Hotels to streamline the way they are creating highly tailored, personalized advertising, it was not just that they saw a big lift in the speed with which they could do this, and therefore the reach of the marketers and the ability to personalize it, but the biggest thing they see is the improvement in conversion. And conversion is the holy grail in marketing, because the more effective your conversion is, the more revenue per dollar you're generating of advertising spend. And they're doing things that they could not have done even a year ago, materially faster, better. But the biggest thing that we're seeing is real return on investment. And so I think we've been cautious about overhyping what AI could be, because usually when you overhype a technology, it leads to disappointment later. So we've sort of paced it as we've seen customers use it. And our best advocates are the customers who are using it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so sharing all those stories is critical for us. And to all of the startups that are listening now, please keep feeding us your stories, because we would love to be able to showcase them. And in fact, one of the ways that we like to help startups is through our marketplace. And we want to be able to give other companies access to all of the cool technology that you're building. A great example of a startup using our online marketplace is Gretel. And they're focused on helping developers generate high quality synthetic data to develop and train AI models. And I know they offer its platform on Google Cloud Marketplace and integrating with BigQuery. And so that enables businesses to quickly access synthetic data directly within Google Cloud. Thomas, can you share a little bit about our marketplace and our thoughts about building an open ecosystem?
I mean, if you just look, Allison, at the reason we bring our technology to startups, if I can just give you an anecdote. When Sergey and Larry started Google, it took them a certain amount of time to write the search engine, but then it took them many, many more months, in fact, years, to build the infrastructure to scale the search engine. That infrastructure is the technology infrastructure of Alphabet, and we take all of that and we're bringing it along with the latest AI advances and algorithms from Google to startups as sort of a pay it forward, if you will. Imagine if Larry and Sergey had a cloud like Google Cloud when they started their startup. And so the idea was fundamentally, can we help a startup founder somewhere in the world who has a great idea with the technology that can give them the reach and scale to be able to go global very quickly? So that's number one. Number two, if you look at Google Search, every day, many, many startups are being discovered on the web because they're listed on Google Search. So we took that idea of all the small business in the world are now listing on Google Search, Google Maps for discovery, and said, imagine if a startup could be discovered by all the enterprises that use Google Cloud. And can their product and technology be discovered? And then secondly, particularly if you're sold to enterprise, it's a long, complicated process to get all the approvals. The CIO's organization has to put you through procurement process, et cetera. Our marketplace streamlines that for a startup, because if you list in the marketplace, all our products, typically when a company contracts with us, they also say they want to be able to use any of the products in our marketplace. So we're not just giving you discovery and access to the thousands and thousands and thousands of customers and the millions of users and developers who use Google Cloud so they can find your company, but we're also streamlining the process through which they can contract for you. Because when a customer contracts with Google, they set aside some of their dollars to access the marketplace. So our goal is to sort of bring the technology, help you build your startup, and then bring you to the enterprise through the marketplace.
Yeah, no, that's great. And certainly one of our big areas of investment, and one of the many reasons that startups are choosing to build with Google Cloud, is we want to help you be as successful as possible. And as my final question, I would love for you to share, just as we wrap up, how you personally think as the CEO of Google Cloud about startups and investing in startups, and what our commitment is to the community that's listening in today.
we've always said software is a business that is constantly changing, and it's changing at the rate of the best ideas. Secondly, with cloud computing, make it easily accessible. Technology used to be hard for a startup to get access to, right? Because they didn't have the resources to buy a data center. They didn't have the resources to build AI models. Now, through the cloud and through Google Cloud, we're giving you access to the best technology, and it's super easy to get started. You just go online, access our API, and get going. So we've always felt startups need all the technology, the resources, the go-to-market support we're giving them, and allows them to imagine great ideas. And then go from that imagination to translating that to reality much more quickly because the technology is available to them very cost-effectively. Lastly, I still imagine our organization as a startup. People look at us and go, why do you say that? Well, first of all, just 6 years ago, no one gave us a shot. Everyone told us you're third, fifth, 29th. We were the 29th largest software company in the world in those days. Today, we are either third or fourth. And so that growth has come by having an outsider's mindset and looking at how can we bring our technology. And we've always looked at ourselves as a challenger. And we've always looked at ourselves as, can we still represent our organization like a startup? And that's been we're super proud that we've been able to disrupt the market, to build this business, and to bring technology to so many companies around the world. And we want to encourage every startup founder who's out there and trying to think, will I be able to do that? If we could do that, everyone can. And we're here to help you do that.
Well, thank you so much. I know it's an honor to work with all of these companies and to be able to be part of their own building and growth story. And your perspective has been really insightful. And I can't reiterate enough how much we think about startups day in, day out at Google Cloud and across Google Workspace. And so that wraps our session with Thomas. And now I want to encourage you all to watch our next session, where startup founder Alex from Higgsfield AI and Han from Click Therapeutics will share their success stories in rapid AI deployment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Allison.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Summit. My name is Sarah Kennedy. I'm Vice President of Growth and Demand at Google Cloud. And among many other things, my team leads startup marketing for Google Cloud, and they are the driving force behind amazing events like you're joining today. And so I'm thrilled to be here with you all, and I'm excited to be welcoming Alex Mashrabov, CEO at Higgsfield AI, and Han Chu, CTO at Click Therapeutics, both joining me today for a really interesting conversation. They've both been incredible partners as well as Google Cloud customers, and they're both thought leaders who are disrupting their respective categories in remarkable ways. And so we're going to spend a little time today talking about the impact of AI on their teams, on their businesses, and on the customers that they serve. And we're also going to dig into some of the things they've learned along the way as I ask them to just reflect on their journey, but maybe share some tips with each of you who are joining us today. So it's going to be an inspiring session, and we're going to hopefully have a little fun along the way as we go. So let's get started. Alex and Han, thank you so much and welcome to the Startup Summit. Let's start with one of my favorite questions currently. And, we used to ask people a lot of times, what was the last thing you searched for on Google? And now we're asking people, what's the last AI prompt maybe you typed into Gemini? And for me, it was pretty boring. It was about org structures and best practices. So I'm hoping you both have a little bit more of a fun answer than I do. But Alex, let's go to you first. What was the last prompt you typed into Gemini?
Yeah, sure. I'm a huge soccer fan. So, and I'm coming to Europe in late December. So I use Gemini to find the best soccer game to watch during my time in Europe.
That's awesome. That's a great use case. So Han, what about you? What was the last prompt you submitted?
I just asked Gemini when my daughter's terrible two-face will be over. And to my disappointment, it says not anytime soon, although it's very accurate. So
100% accurate. Well, then let's dive in now. Thanks both for having a little fun with me there. But let's learn a bit more about your companies and the roles that you both play. So starting with you, Alex. So let's talk about this incredible company you founded, Higgsfield AI. So what is your mission and what led you to that?
Sure. So let me start with describing Higgsfield. Higgsfield AI is a multimodal AI company building tools to democratize personalized creative storytelling through our proprietary video model. AI gives us an edge to transform people photos to moving digital characters, so people become heroes of AI-generated stories. The reason why we're doing that is that video became de facto the main content format on the internet. It accounts for 80% of traffic, and video has up to 10x higher engagement than images. I definitely saw the power of video on social media during my time at Snap, where I was ahead of generative AI. In the same time, I saw that video creation today is extremely costly and time-consuming. And we think there is an opportunity to democratize video creation from just prompt engineers to everyone. And I have been doing this since 2016. I dedicated almost all my professional career to democratize and make generative AI actually useful. And I left Snap last year and founded Higgsfield to leverage a new technology of video world models to revolutionize this space.
It's great. Well, thanks, Alex. So now to you, Han. So you joined Click Therapeutics, I think it was a little over 3 years ago. So can you share maybe about what inspired you to make that move and what's the company working on today?
So 3.5 years ago, I joined Click as Chief Technology Officer because I was extremely inspired by Click's mission. Click develops, validates, and commercializes products that go through the rigor of randomized clinical trials and FDA clearance. And all of our products are built on top of our AI-enabled platform, which adapts to the patient's progress throughout the journey. And by doing that, we achieve superior outcomes. I'm extremely pleased to let you know that we just hit primary endpoint in our pivotal study for a preventive treatment of migraine, which is our CT132 product. In addition to that, in collaboration with Otsuka, we developed the first FDA-cleared adjunctive treatment of major depressive disorder symptoms. So essentially, Click's mission is to close the gaps in care and increase access to high-quality, evidence-based prescription digital therapeutics. And I'm extremely passionate about that mission.
That's really cool. I mean, both of you are working on incredibly interesting problems and missions. So I love that. And so let's dig a little deeper. Let's talk about AI, maybe how you're using it in your work. So Alex, I'll come back to you. Maybe you could share 1 to 2 of the most impactful ways that you think about AI and the relationship to your business, maybe how your team is actually using it in their day-to-day work so far.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with generative AI, and we use this a lot in our processes. So we do market research with generative AI, then we create videos with generative AI for social media. This is how we get users, customers to download our mobile app called Diffuse, and then users pay to generate videos with AI. So with AI, we're fully closing the loop. So I think, and this is only the beginning, and I can imagine that with AI, we'll be able to fully automate the process end to end, so that the humans have only to do creative work.
I love that. And we're experimenting a lot with the same at Google, as you can imagine, in Google marketing as well. But I'm curious too, so what about some of the most interesting stories now you've heard from customers about the value you're bringing them through AI?
Yeah, this is a really profound question. So overall, we definitely see that a lot of customers already have great success with cutting down the cost with generative AI and augmenting their personnel to do more with less. Actually, it is surprising for us that some large media organizations think that generative AI is giving them an edge to appeal to new audiences. So they see generative AI as a way to expand their business rather than just cut down the costs.
That's great. So Han, over to you. So what are the most impactful ways you're using AI day to day?
So all of Qlik's core products are built on top of our AI-enabled platform. It is a white box AI, which is explainable and interpretable. We adapt our treatment journey based on the patient's response. On top of that, our engagement technology use deep learning algorithms to find opportunities as well as tactics to best engage our users, as well as preventing dropout from the treatment. And that's why we're able to achieve really some of the highest engagement percentage across all of our products. And then finally, we do digital therapeutics, so we are able to collect a significant amount of user data. We de-identify them and lay on top of that machine learning algorithms to extract insight that further allow us to develop more efficacious as well as different digital therapeutics over time.
That's great. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about how you're using AI and maybe Gemini specifically to bring additional value to your customers?
Of course. So internally, we use Gemini in various use cases. In fact, the moment that we adopted Gemini, we just see a lot of creative and great examples of using Gemini Enterprise throughout our workflow across multiple teams. So one example came to mind, our user researchers were able to use Gemini Enterprise to come up with the first draft of questions that we then iterated on before we give it to our patients during the user research session. Some of our teams are also able to use Gemini Enterprise to analyze, collect patient sentiment in public forums, and that informed us how to better target certain digital therapeutic areas.
That's great. Thanks, Han. So coming back to you, Alex, let's talk about challenges. We've talked about all the goodness that comes from AI so far, but obviously it's no easy road to deliver that. And there's a lot of obstacles that you have to overcome when you're the ones making some of those decisions. So maybe you could share a little bit more, Alex, around some of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you have faced with AI and how did you overcome them?
This is a really good question. Generally, it is extremely hard to find true product market fit with generative AI. Pace of development is critically important, and at Higgsfield, it is the fastest I have ever seen in my life. we learned that AI infrastructure is really hard to build in a flexible way. So it is definitely like almost like a free gift that Google gives access to AI infrastructure. We still have to pay for GPUs, and GPUs are expensive, but this Google Cloud Platform AI infrastructure layer definitely gives us flexibility to quickly experiment and learn.
It's great. Well, so Han, I'm going to come back to you. Can you share maybe some more about the technical and operational challenges that you've been facing when implementing AI just into your core products?
Because we are in the healthcare industry, really the first and the most critical concern we have in adopting AI tools is data privacy and data security. And when we were assessing the best tools for us to use, Google and Gemini Enterprise checked all the boxes because Google is known to have really the most robust data privacy and data security posture. And second, when we were considering tools, the second question we thought about was, well, how tightly is this integrated into our day-to-day workflow? How seamless is this already integrated into our tools? And Gemini Enterprise also shines there because we already use Google Workspace very heavily. And so it's a pretty natural extension for us to turn on Gemini Enterprise, and immediately a lot of our colleagues already got the value out of Gemini Enterprise once we turn it on, whether it's in Gmail or in Google Docs or in spreadsheet. And so data privacy, data security, as well as the seamless integration, those were the factors that we consider when it comes to adopting Gemini Enterprise.
That's great. Thanks, Han. So let's talk a little bit more about the help you need along the way, right? So Alex, I'll go back to you just to ask, maybe how has Google Cloud supported Higgsfield AI as you've scaled, and how should other founders be thinking about whether it's different technologies or services that maybe you found particularly valuable that they should be thinking about or considering leveraging from Google as well?
So let me go back to our mission. Our mission is to democratize video creation. We can see that the foundational technology like text-to-video is getting better and better, although the adoption is still very limited. And the key problem is that the success rate is like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20, and it feels like hit or miss. So we believe that democratizing of this technology will come through complex multi-agent pipelines where video understanding plays the critical role to ensure that the final result matches the user's intentions. And we learned that Gemini's video captioning is the best on the market. A few weeks ago, we ran a comprehensive internal analysis. We compared multiple closed source and open source tools against each other. And we noticed that Gemini is probably the only system which goes through the whole video, while other systems probably do just keyframe by keyframe analysis. So other systems, they are not able to capture full expressiveness and action and motion in the video. Another aspect is definitely dataset collection, as we have seen that Google offers unprecedented network speed between instances, compute instances, and storage, GCS buckets. And probably another key thing is that GKE makes Kubernetes easy to use for everyone, and it doesn't require any DevOps experience to kick things off. And the last piece, but this is critically important, is the support from Google Cloud team. We have seen the turnaround times to be minutes. And I definitely can see that Google Cloud support team operates like a startup. This is critically important for us as our needs constantly evolve as we see as we notice new and new consumers' behaviors.
That's great. Well, so Han, I'm going to come back to you. So there's a lot of different leaders, listening and joining us today and trying to figure out where to get started with AI. And there's a lot of options, but can you share a little bit more about the thing that you leaned into first? What was the most helpful for you as you were on this journey?
I think for organizations where AI and machine learning is their core competency or core part of their offering, thinking about AI strategy and data strategy as a very much of a long-term commitment that requires strong vision makes the most sense. As business leaders, I think business leaders have to be able to articulate the value of AI and machine learning to their organization and to their customers. For companies that want to use AI to improve their productivity and efficiency, I would say, you want to explore pretty widely out there. It's very cost prohibitive to train large language model. And so therefore, it simply doesn't make a lot of sense for smaller companies to reinvent the wheel. And I think there are already a lot of great tools that are already developed out there that many companies can leverage immediately and get those immediate benefits. And so, my advice to organizations that want to use AI to improve their productivity, efficiency would be to really dive in, get some of these tools working and see how it goes for your organization. If somehow it doesn't work out, try a different thing.
That's great. Well, that kind of leads us to our final question. And maybe this is sort of our quick tip of the day for anybody joining us, just to founders, anybody looking to establish an AI startup or to integrate AI and use it in their day-to-day work. There's a lot of information out there and it can get overwhelming, right? But both as you look kind of in hindsight, as well as looking forward and maybe some of the things that are working really well for you and your teams today, what's the one tip you would give somebody who is in a leadership position with implementing AI and leveraging it for the most value in their day-to-day work? And maybe Alex will go to you first, and then Han, I'll come back to you to close.
Sure, this is a really great question. I think I would give an advice that business success and business results are not coming from just one model. So it is really important to kind of pick the right tools, pick the right vendors, and holistically evaluate the quality of the system and identify probably just one core piece where your team will innovate to deliver the highest return, the highest value to your customers. I think it's so hard to innovate like a foundational model layer. So being really thoughtful about your investments and picking the right vendors is important for business success with generative AI.
That's great. Han, what about you?
So in Qlik, we have fun monthly competition about how to best use Gemini in your day-to-day. And, to our surprise, the amount of examples that our colleagues provided was, first of all, very creative, and number two, really spot on. And I felt like, there is a pretty significant level of anxiety sometimes around AI and job displacement and such. But really, I think if we can help our colleagues in getting familiar with AI in ways that are fun and friendly and see AI tools as their companion, there's just so much more opportunity as well as more traction that we can guide them on this, journey of improving their productivity, improving the company's efficiency when it comes to using AI as the help, as the tool.
I just want to say thank you again to Alex and to Han, and I've been your host, and I'm thrilled to have been so. Sarah Kennedy, it's been my pleasure to be a part of this discussion with all of you today, and hope you enjoy the rest of the Startup Summit.
From the beginning of Neuro, we've really invested in AI models to be able to see the world. action. I'm Andrew Clare. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Nuro. We build an AI-first, we call the Nuro Driver, which is intended to drive any kind of vehicle on roads, whether it's a custom delivery vehicle, the consumer passenger car, or even a Class 8 truck. Data is certainly one of our first challenges, really creating a very efficient data cycle and data engine to power our AI. Secondly is safety. Nuro is incredibly proud of our safety record. We have been operating driverless vehicles on public roads in 3 states since 2020 with a pristine safety record. That's really critical to have in our industry. Finally, I'd say the other big challenge is scalability. We want something that has both hardware and software scalability to be able to go to a large swath of both the United States and eventually internationally as well. We wanted to move to a more modern architecture. We moved from doing training on Google Cloud GPUs over to TPU v5. And what that enabled us to do was to accelerate the training time of that model by 2x without any incremental cost. We've been a proud partner of Google Cloud for many years now, and it all starts with the massive amount of data that Nuro has to process. We have a large in-house fleet of vehicles that are always gathering sensor data from driving on public roads. That produces petabytes worth of data that we need to manage and then utilize for all of the training of our various AI models. And we'll actually use that to run a large-scale simulation on GKE. It allows us to do really rapid iteration cycles to continue to improve our autonomy stack. And it also ensures that when we are ready to go driverless with a new release, we're really confident in the safety of that release as well. The entire industry right now is focused on how do you take something that works in small scale demonstrations and prepare it for scale. I'm super excited about what Nuro is building. I think the next 5 years, we're going to go from a small quantity of vehicles with L4 autonomous technology to millions of vehicles. It's enabled by all the recent advancements in AI. It's enabled by the partnership that we have with Google Cloud. Nuro is building a new way to build L4 autonomous vehicle technology.
Good morning, everyone. My name is James Lee, and I'm the General Manager for the Startups and AI business here at Google Cloud. Today, I'm incredibly excited to have with me our fellow panelists, Joe Greenberg Chase, who's a partner at Capital G, and Sam Eisler, who's a partner at Lightspeed here. Welcome, Joe, and welcome, Sam. We're going to spend some time together today to talk about the current AI investment hotspots. We're going to dive into some current trends, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about what investors are focusing on today. So to start, I thought maybe I could hand it over to Joe and Sam to just talk a little bit about yourself and your firm, and maybe just give our audience a bit of a taste for what kind of AI investments you typically make and which stage you invest in. So maybe start with you, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, James. I'm really excited to be here and excited for the conversation. So as you mentioned, I'm Jill. I'm a partner at Capital G. I lead all of our AI investments, which I've done for the past 5 years. But as you all may imagine, it's been increasingly exciting over the past several. Capital G is Alphabet's independent growth fund. So 2 parts to that. independent, meaning we invest entirely for financial return, and growth, meaning typically post-product market fit. James, you asked a little bit about sort of stage and what types of companies we typically invest in. I would say that while we typically are post-product market fit, in particular with AI, we have started to move a bit earlier. And I think what's more unique about our investment approach is how concentrated and thematic we are. And so I lead our AI investing. I spend 100% of my time doing that. I work a lot with the folks at DeepMind and Google Brain and GCP to sort of develop our investment theses and find exciting companies. And through that, I would say we have a pretty wide spectrum of types of companies that we like to invest in. For example, I led 2 Series A's in the past year, both AI companies, and then also led a secondary investment in a pre-IPO company. So really run the gamut, just what gets us excited and where our investment theses take us.
That's great, Joe. Thank you. Sam, same question over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Sam. I'm a partner at Lightspeed. Lightspeed is a multi-stage, multi-geo, multi-sector investment fund. I've been at the firm for 2 years. I joined to basically help us open up our New York office, which is where I'm sitting today, although we have offices in California and around the world. I spend most of my time actually on the fintech side of things. Lightspeed, as I mentioned, is a multi-sector firm, and we invest from enterprise to consumer to healthcare to fintech, from seed all the way to IPO. My area of expertise is really within the fintech ecosystem, more on the early stage side. I spend about 80% of my time there, but I do a little bit of growth investing and across other verticals. We don't have an AI specific team, like in the same way that Jill's team is structured, but I would say all of our verticals touch AI in so many different forms, especially over the course of the last year and a half, as things have really been developing at rapid pace. Within our fintech practice, we've made 12 investments since I've been here across a host of different categories, things from capital markets technology, wealth technology, the CFO suite, infrastructure. And while maybe they're all not pure AI first companies, almost all of them have elements of AI that have been enhanced throughout the last developments that we've seen over the course of the last 18 months. And it's been a really core part of our investment thesis. So excited to talk more about that here.
I love both of you are such seasoned investors, but you're coming in with different perspective. So I think this is going to be a really great conversation. So with that, let's get down to business. Joe, I've got the first question for you. As we know, in AI space, everything is ever changing. It's such a dynamic market. How has your AI investment thesis evolved throughout this year? You know, what kind of AI investments are you personally excited about making over, what you've made or will be making in the next year?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's I feel so fortunate to be an AI focused investor right now. It's an incredible time to be following the space for 2 reasons, really. One is how nascent and quickly evolving the technology itself is. And then 2, correspondingly, how nascent and quickly evolving the buying behavior and value creation is. And so I feel like over the past really 3 years in particular, we've seen these step function changes on the technology side that have unlocked all of these new elements of value and very cool applications on the buying behavior side. And then that spurs ideas for the technical side, which then there's another step function change, which spurs value creation on the application side. And so it's been a really fun wave to watch. I would say the thing that makes it hard to invest in the category as a result of that dynamic is you're always waiting for what the next step function change in the model is going to look like. And when that happens, there are all of these downstream impacts on the differentiation of the application layer and the defensibility of the application layer and how much value is going to accrue to the foundation model versus the application or the incumbents. And so we've sort of spent a lot of the last 3 years really trying to come up with a thesis on how things are going to evolve over the long term, rather than sort of reacting to these small differences and changes that have happened in sort of 6-month increments. So with that context in mind, I'd say we effectively think of the AI category in 3 subsegments. The first is foundation models themselves. The second is infrastructure to either build or leverage those foundation models. And then the third is end applications. Our thesis on foundation models is, I think we've seen sort of this take place over the past couple of years, is that there is a tremendous amount of innovation that can and will take place, and that it is likely headed towards commoditization over time, probably by a select few number of players who have the resources available to be able to sort of continue to scale the models. And so we've stayed away from making big investments in that sort of big foundation model space for that reason, with the exception of a company called Magic.dev, which I led the Series A in a couple of years ago. And actually, they recently announced a big and exciting relationship with GCP, which James knows about. The reason we were able to lean in and sort of got conviction in that investment is they were building with a new type of model architecture that allows for 100 million token context windows, which is obviously incredibly exciting as you think about what applications you can apply that to. In Magic's case, it's coding. But I can talk about that more later. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is it was a true differentiated model architecture, which got us excited about making the bet in the foundation model space, not just competing on sort of scaling or resources. The second category of infrastructure, I think, is extremely exciting because you can abstract away whatever swirling is happening on the buying side and whatever swirling is happening on the foundation model side. If you can invest in the infrastructure layer, you're sort of indexed to people using AI more and more over time. And so that's a space that we've spent quite a bit of time on, and I think I'm very bullish around. And then the third is this application layer, which we break down into two subsegments. The first is what we call a thin layer, and the second is what we would call a thick layer. A thin layer is a technology application that is basically a thin workflow that sits on top of a model API where there's not a lot else to differentiate it. I would say we're bearish on that just because we're concerned about the level of competition that comes in. A thick layer, conversely, is something where the technology, whether it's through integrations or sticky workflows, is quite hard to replicate, even though you might switch in and out the model API on the back end. So that's sort of how we think about the space more broadly and where we get excitement.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Jill. First of all, congrats on all the success, especially with Magic. We're obviously very excited to also work with the team there. But you're right. I feel like the initial kind of exuberance and excitement is not necessarily fading away, but it's normalizing a little bit. Now investors and the market at large is really paying special attention to, okay, does this company have a core advantage? Are you just a certain like a model wrapper? Like what have you got that cannot be easily imitated, right? So I'm definitely with you. The bar is going to be raising higher and higher going forward.
Totally.
Sam, my next question is for you. Given your fintech background, I'd love to maybe zoom out a little bit and just talk about the investment landscape at large. Where do you see opportunities across the board, models or application specific, or maybe in some cases both? Do you favor one over the other? What does that mean? Because we obviously have a lot of founders in the audience who are listening to us. Like, what does it mean for them who are seeking investments?
Yeah, no, great question. Thanks. And it was really interesting hearing Jill's perspective. I feel like she also kind of touched on this a little bit, and we share a lot of the same opinions. I mean, I'll take a step back and talk about the Lightspeed team more broadly, and then happy to go into the fintech lens as well. The Lightspeed team more broadly has invested both on the foundational model side and on the application specific side. And I would say looking ahead, we definitely see opportunities in both. Although to Jill's point, I think on the foundational model side, we can expect to see some market concentration here happening over the course of the next few years. And while I think there's still room for a couple new players to emerge in this ecosystem, I think we've started to see who are the people that are at the forefront here. And I don't expect as much shifting and changing as I expect to see on the application layer side. I naturally, as a fintech investor, spend more of my time specifically on the application specific side, just by given like the vertical nature of how I invest. But I'm excited about both opportunities, and I think the firm is excited about both opportunities. In the fintech specific application layer investments, we've made investments in companies that are leveraging AI for categories like corporate debt. We led the seed round in a company called Noetica. They're basically helping benchmark corporate debt terms in real time. We led the seed round in a company called Tabs, which is doing accounts receivable automation and leveraging AI to do the invoicing, communications, and payment processes between organizations. And we led the seed round in a company called InScope, which is leveraging AI to automate the 10Q process within the accounting ecosystem. And we're definitely bullish on all of those areas and then some. We're particularly excited about areas like risk and fraud, wealth management, and compliance right now, just because I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. And to Jill's point, like, while we're not as excited about like thin wrapper layer investments, I think that there's just a lot that can be done at the super base layer, given the level of information and data proliferation in all of those different verticals. At the end of the day, an application-specific product is going to be able to come to market probably faster. And, the downside there is maybe they'll have a little bit more of a niche dominance from where it is. That's not always a bad thing. So it really depends on the full contextual analysis of the investment.
Yeah, what I take away from your response is, AI just for the sake of AI is not that interesting. AI for the sake of transforming business models. You gave a couple of examples in the fintech industry, right? Allowing things to be done that could not be done before, and changing the way customers and consumers are interacting with the business. I mean, that's kind of where AI is unlocking value.
Definitely agreed.
Great. As a next question, Jill, I wanted to come back to you. Many founders are. I mean, this is still obviously a very, very exciting space, and founders are looking for funding. As a growth stage investor, when you're looking at startups, at the founding team or at the business model, what are some of the things that you look for when you're making that decision? Maybe some pointers, some advice for our founders as you're thinking about building either model, infrastructure, or applications.
For sure. I think that one of the many differences between early and growth stage investing, obviously, is the valuation at which you're coming in at from the investor perspective. And the real thing that implies and why it matters is how big of a company a growth investor needs this to be in order to make money. And so the example would be like, if I want to 3x my money and I'm coming in at a $500 million valuation, simple math, need this company to be a $1.5 billion company in order to sort of 3x my money. And the reason I bring that up as context to answer your question is because you need this business to be a $1.5 billion business, you actually care a lot more about things like go-to-market and feeling like there is a very clear and efficient go-to-market story. There are enough logos in the market that you can get to the revenue scale required to become a $1.5 billion market cap company. You also care a lot more about differentiation than you would at the earlier stages, because if you're investing at a much lower valuation, then you're kind of you're picking among a bunch of folks who kind of all do roughly similar things. You don't know who the winner is yet, but it's okay, because if that company ends up not being the winner, then maybe they'll be acquired for something that's a little bit lower. Obviously, that's not the goal, but that's always a potential outcome. When you come in at the growth stage, you don't really have that, or the exit, you need it to be a much higher exit in order to feel good about that. And so my advice for founders is when you're pitching growth investors, be very clear about how you're differentiated from other players in the market, and be very clear about what your go-to-market strategy is and how it's efficient and how it will scale. And I think that's what gets growth investors really excited.
That's great. I think at the growth investment stage, obviously the stakes are higher, the exits are higher, the valuations are higher. But I think this is where you got to show traction, right? You need to have customers, you need to show revenue, you need to show profitability. It's a lot less forgiving at that stage.
Totally. It's exciting though, because I think you also oftentimes get the chance, like I find myself talking to founders about what their Act 2 is going to be, because, you get excited about Act 1, you see the scaling, they sort of sell me on all of that. And then I'm like, all right, what's next? And that's my favorite part of those conversations, because I often catch people at the point at which things are really humming with their first act and they get to sort of sell me the dream of what's next.
Sounds good. Sam, I've got a kind of an interesting question I would love to get your thoughts on. I meet a lot with founders during my normal course of work, and I feel like there's always a bit of a tension between, hey, do I want to be the first to market and leapfrog everybody else and come up with, be it a business model or a technology that's groundbreaking, never been done before? Or do I want to be someone who's not necessarily first to market, but more of an evolutionary step, right? Something that's been done, but I refine it, I perfect it, I built on top of things that have been done before. Like, how do you think about that in the context of AI, proven applications versus brand new models, businesses, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think there's an answer to this question in independent of AI, and there's probably an answer to this question with the context of AI as well, but I'll answer it more generally and then happy to focus in too. I mean, the short answer and maybe the easy answer is I'm not prescriptive. I want to invest in both. I think there's an opportunity to invest in companies who are reinventing the wheel on a stodgy industry, or they've created entirely new technology, especially in fintech, which is historically quite an old vertical with a lot of stodgy technology to be replaced. I've made a lot of investments in companies that aren't necessarily groundbreaking at the top level, but what they're actually doing is groundbreaking in terms of processes or in terms of output or things along those lines. And I think both are really exciting. I'd say at the end of the day, especially on the early stage side, the things I care the most about are founder market fit, size of the overall prize, and the why now. Founder market fit, why are you the person to build this? Do you have some sort of competitive edge, whether that's on the go-to-market side, that's on the product side, that's on the distribution side, et cetera. Size of the prize, at the end of the day, while I am investing smaller sums of money at the early stage, I still need these to be relatively large markets and have sizable outcomes, especially Lightspeed's a multi-stage, multi-billion-dollar fund. So the return sizes are quite large in expectation. And then the why now? I've seen a lot of absolutely excellent pitches that lack just the ability of this is the time to do this. And unfortunately had to pass on them, but kept in touch with a lot of those founders just because, there wasn't a clear articulation of why this is the right time to do that. And then the last part, just the nuance, right? I would say within AI, we're probably more and more investing on the groundbreaking technology side, just given the new nature of things. But I still think even leveraging AI is low hanging fruit, especially in some of the categories I mentioned, risk, fraud, compliance. There's a lot to be done with the systems that are already in place and just streamlining and automating that. And we're, eager to invest in both sides of the coin.
That's fantastic. It's actually a nice segue into my final question, maybe a bit of a lightning round for both of you. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom for founders, especially pitfalls that they want to avoid when they're pitching to VCs? Maybe we'll start with you, Sam.
Sure. I think the number one thing for me is at the end of the day, you know the business better than I do. And so I'd love to have you tell me your opinion as opposed to look for mine. I have theories, I have theses, and I've spent a lot of time in markets, but I don't have all the answers. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to be the one running the company. And so having an opinion is really important, and having a direction and vision as well.
Great. Joe?
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing I'd add is be authentic, be transparent, be candid. I tell my portfolio companies this all the time. Something is always going wrong somewhere. If everything were going right, I would not believe it. And so the biggest pitfall I see is when I ask a founder something what's going wrong? What's the biggest risk? And they're like, nothing. I'm drowning in pipeline, or, there's really no risks. It's just about execution. Sometimes it's hard to really believe that, because I'm here hopefully to partner with you and help you with those challenges. And so I'd rather have a transparent conversation with it during the process and put our heads together on how we can solve them.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have. So thank you, Joe and Sam, again, for sharing your perspective and insights with everyone. I certainly enjoyed the session with you. And for all our listeners, thank you for listening in. I hope you learned a few tips on how to, differentiate yourselves and secure funding from top VCs. I also like to encourage you to come check out the ongoing AMA series, where Google Cloud will host different VCs each month. And answer questions that you may have, and scan the QR code to join us for future events specifically designed for global startups and investment community. With that, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Connected Stories, we are saying goodbye to rigid creative workflows. Our platform helps businesses create dynamic content that is personalized to build lasting customer relationship. With generative AI, we can do this at scale in real time. I'm Tommaso Vaccarella, and I'm the co-founder and general manager of Connected Stories. In the bad old days, personalizing content meant manually tweaking every little element. With Connected Stories, we are revolutionizing the entire creative workflow. Now advertisers can manage the entire process end-to-end, expediting the generation and assembly of images, videos, and text, most likely to connect with specific audiences. We have developed an AI creative assistant supported by Gemini, capable of analyzing briefs and turning them into sophisticated strategies. The assistant orchestrates our creative studio to build personalized content through Gen AI, therefore unlocking personalization at scale. Leveraging Google Cloud, we have made it easy for brands to integrate their first-party data and assets within our platform. After processing it through Vertex AI, it is effortlessly taken into the platform where it is used to customize the AI models so that the content is 100% compliant with the brand's policies and guidelines. It basically becomes an in-house solution where everything is tailor-made for each brand. Once the content is live, the platform gathers granular data about how users are interacting with it, which versions are performing better, and more, then applying optimizations in real time. All this data is then fed back into our brand knowledge graph, creating a positive feedback loop of insights and optimization. First of all, Google Cloud is ideal for enterprise use, as it's very safe and attentive to data protection, which is vital for user data, making AI responsible. Our synergy also makes the entire process more sustainable, as the platform creates only the necessary combinations in real time, avoiding unnecessary energy consumption. The range of available solutions and models gives us the flexibility to keep on innovating with generative AI long into the future. For example, we're just now integrating the newly announced text-to-live image features, and there's much more to come. That's very exciting.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. We're excited to have everyone from all around the world leaning in with us for a little bit of time today to spend some valuable time with two founders who have made very critical decisions about AI partnerships. Let me introduce who they are, and then let's dive into this content. First of all, I want to welcome Akash Sharma, who's CEO and founder of Vellum AI. And I also want to welcome Taesung Park, who's chief scientist at Rev, for joining me today.
Thanks, Darren. Thank you so much for having us. So excited to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Taesung. Thank you for inviting me.
We are so excited to have you here because there's nothing more valuable than learning from your experience. So obviously, in the midst of the excitement of the AI revolution that we're all embracing and living through, we want to make sure that we're providing some time to pause. And as I said, really reflect and gain some insights and some wisdom from some really hard decisions that each of you have made in launching and building really fascinating companies. So let's go ahead and dive in. I want to make sure that each of you have the chance to tell our viewers about the companies that you're building, but also, as I said, let's make sure to really tap into some of the experience that you've gained over time. So Akash, let's start with you. First of all, can you start by first telling us about Velum? Give us an idea of what you're doing and how you're leveraging generative AI, and then go a little bit deeper into your decision-making process for selecting a Gen AI provider, and what criteria did you use to come to that conclusion?
Absolutely. So a little bit about us. We're an end-to-end LLM ops platform that enables Gen AI use cases for thousands of developers around the world. Companies use our tooling for prompt engineering, evaluations, document retrieval, and workflow orchestration to quickly and reliably bring their AI ideas to life. Vertex AI is a core component of our offering. We actually started out with another cloud provider, but Google Cloud just had the most sensible abstractions, and we found it really easy to use. I think GKE is the best managed Kubernetes service in the world, and we really also like Cloud Run, Cloud Tasks, PubSub. When building an AI system for production, we recommend finding the optimal balance between quality, cost, latency, and privacy. I think Gemini's family of models, Pro, Ultra, and Flash, gives us a whole range of options to choose from, so we can find the right model for each task consistently. And on top of that, Vertex AI also gives us more models beyond the Gemini family, which is just always helpful to compare across these different models.
Thanks so much, Akash. And in fact, you said a few things there that we're going to come back to in our time together. So let's park that for a moment and come over to Tai-Sung and talk a bit about Rev. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish and the big problems you're trying to solve with generative AI. And also, can you help us understand your decision-making process for selecting that Gen AI provider? And again, what criteria did you find to be most important in that decision process?
Yeah, Rev's goal is to enable controllable visual content generation. Although there exist image and video generation tools based on text prompts, they focus on only treating text as their input so far. And because of that, a lot of professional content creators are finding it very difficult to exactly reproduce what they are imagining in their head. What they want is, in a sense, non-verbal controls, as in they should be able to click on something, move their location, make it bigger, or rearrange things spatially. And Rev's goal is to provide maximum controllability to enable these things. To achieve this, we quickly realized we basically need to train a new visual foundational model that is not based on text, but based on other modalities. So we're going to need thousands of GPUs and a reliable and efficient framework to utilize them. More specifically, we had really like 50 criteria that we had to go through to pick the right cloud provider. But we came up with the 4 most important criteria. First is reliability. After talking to many cloud providers and customers, we realized that it's just the nature of things that GPUs will fail at some point. And whenever this failure happens, if it takes multiple days to fix this, these GPUs cannot be included in our development run, and that's going to be very damaging. So being able to reliably fix these GPU failures as soon as possible is really important. Second criteria was fast interconnect. We always talk about, different GPU versions like H100, B100, and so on. But we don't talk as much about the speed of interconnect between the GPUs. We found this actually affects our training and deployment speed a lot. Third is the ecosystem around the GPUs. You need what you think are basic things like Bash environment to do some work, or even data loading framework for fast and reliable data loading. Last criteria was availability. As a startup, we want to get started as soon as possible. But at many cloud providers, it'll take months to actually have the number of GPUs that we ask for. And there were actually not so many cloud providers that could provide the GPUs that we want as quickly as possible.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing those 4 criteria, and we'll definitely dig into a few of those items in the time that we have remaining. Akash, I'd love to come back over to you and reflect a bit on the experience that you and your team have seen and have gleaned. Not only have you made some critical decisions for yourself, you yourself are providing a solution that many, many enterprises and organizations around the world are using to bring their AI ideas to life. And something that you and I have actually discussed is that criticality of security and privacy. And when should you be thoughtful about those two requirements and priorities when you're making this decision? So can you share a little bit more about your own experience in that realm?
Yeah, absolutely. So enterprises around the world are generally kind of hesitant or scared about AI. And a big part of that is like, how secure is it? Where is my data going? So I wanted to share some tips on what worked for us, and maybe that's relevant to you, to you guys as well. So we're based in the United States, and when using AI in production, my suggestion is to get all the compliance frameworks as soon as possible. So we got SOC 2 and HIPAA compliance right when we started because that was relevant to us. And Google Cloud helped make that process seamless. ISO and GDPR compliance might be necessary in other geographies too. One more option to consider is virtual private cloud or on-prem deployments. These are particularly helpful if you're working with heavily regulated industries like banks, insurance providers, and hospital systems. Remember to keep a close look on the data lineage. Understand where it's coming from, where it's going, whether any models are being trained along the way, and make sure to have well-defined access rules and retention policies.
Excellent. Thank you, Akash. I know, as you said, from your own experience building a business, but also the services you provide others, the criticality of being thoughtful early about privacy and security will help definitely save time down the road. So I appreciate those reflections for everyone listening to us today. And Taesung, let's talk a little bit about the concept that you raised of speed and scalability, 2 words that we love to talk about in the cloud, we love to talk about in AI. But I'd love for you to reflect a bit on the best practices that you have for evaluating scalability of a generative AI solution in reality. So how can startup founders and startup teams determine if a Gen AI partner can really handle the growth and the evolving needs over time?
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to go back to the 4 points that I discussed. And I want to emphasize that the speed of GPU itself does not matter that much. The ultimate metric that you want to go for is the time or the compute of GPUs that is actually doing meaningful work. For that, we think reliability and GPU interconnect are actually 2 very important aspects. Even though the GPU chips are fast, if they're waiting for data to process or other GPUs for communication, they're just waiting idle. And we don't want that to happen. And we found that the latest offerings of Google Cloud, which was A3 High and A3 Mega, they had really fast inter-GPU connectivity that was specifically designed for these clusters. We found that the GPU interconnect was so fast that it actually made our development process so much easier. Because whenever we come up with a new model architecture, previously we would have to design our model architecture smartly so that it minimizes the communication overhead between GPUs. But now that's not the bottleneck because it's just fast. So you can focus more on your application and your tasks for development. Another aspect was reliability. These GPUs are going to fail. If you don't believe it, I recommend reading the Llama paper from Meta. They actually list how many failures they had for their training. And it's much, much more frequent than you'd imagine. And whenever this happens, some cloud providers say they're going to fix it. Like there's an engineer dedicated to come in and fix it. But what Google Cloud provides is they actually have GPUs that they can utilize immediately, and everything's virtualized. So it's just a matter of actually, switching the flag on the virtual system to reroute me to another GPU. So it can be really instant to fix these GPUs. GPU availability was really another aspect that we thought important because we wanted to get started as soon as possible. And Google Cloud did have more availability than the other cloud providers. And at the same time, the TPU offerings were very attractive because at inference time, we want to save cost, and TPUs turned out to be more cost efficient than GPUs, and they do have more availability, which means we can scale up them more easily as more customers come to our platform.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So much to really like in everything that you shared there, especially the takeaway of being thoughtful of scalability and performance and network performance, not just for the ultimate solution that your customers will be leveraging, but it's great to hear that your own development cycles have been sped up due to staying focused on those core elements. So thank you so much for that wisdom. There's a lot to take away there. So Akash, let me come back to you for a moment and talk about the concept of integration with existing systems and workflows. Again, this is right up your alley. It's right up what you are solving for day to day. And so I'd love for you to share a bit of your own wisdom and experience around what support mechanisms should be in place to really assist with deployment and ongoing maintenance. So how should startups think about interacting in a complex world where their solution may be one of multiple aspects of a fabric of technology coming to bear?
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. Gen AI development is unlike traditional software development. We are not building simple CRUD applications. These systems are advanced. They are non-deterministic. They can perform actions, which makes it a lot more interesting to actually develop on. We often see cross-functional teams of data scientists, engineers, product managers, and subject matter experts like clinicians and lawyers working on these AI use cases together. This is because prompts are just written in natural language. They're non-deterministic. We are also familiar with the hallucinations that often happen and require trial and error to get right and reliable. When choosing a Gen AI partner, it's important to look for purpose-built tooling with both a UI and an IDE to have each of these stakeholders work where they are most comfortable. The most successful companies we see taking Gen AI use cases to production follow a test-driven development approach to their AI development process. This has four main components: experimentation, evaluation, deployments, and monitoring. So what does this all mean? Step one, define a bank of test cases and evaluation metrics that will help you measure quality. That's step one. Step two is iterate until you meet your quality, cost, and latency criteria. Step three is move to a staging or production environment for real-world data and closely monitor any edge cases using the same evaluation metrics defined before you move to production. And step four, any edge cases observed should be added to your bank of test cases to further refine your AI application. We see all too often that companies build this tooling in-house and spend precious engineering resources on building internal tooling rather than their end-user facing product. For companies releasing AI features, iteration speed and time to market is key. We've seen companies building on an end-to-end platform cut their time to market pretty significantly.
That's great. Again, great insights there, not only from the experience that you have working across many, many different enterprises and companies, but at the heart of what you and your team are doing is addressing some of this challenge, right? Really helping organizations take their AI ideas from concept to delivery, but uniquely and in a differentiated way, helping them through that entire life cycle. So your perspective there, Akash, was super. Thank you so much for that. And Taesung, something you spoke about a moment ago, I just want to come back to, and that's this concept of a fabric, right? We keep talking about that AI doesn't necessarily exist on its own. In fact, we're finding more and more every day that this end-to-end generative AI platform is really what startups and enterprises are requiring, meaning is there essential services? Are there data management and model development capabilities? Are there specific things available to help make sure that, again, this insight can turn to activation and outcome? And so with that in mind, can you speak a bit to that platform, to that fabric concept, and how important is that for you in what you're building out at Rev?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I initially thought these things are not that important. Just give me GPUs and I'll figure something out. But I realized that the role of foundational LLMs and VLMs, vision language models, are increasing, and they are helpful and so much beneficial in unforeseen ways. At Rev, we run Gemini models for our data annotation, curation, and also agent techniques. For example, in our data set, we want to detect excessively violent images and remove them. Our original approach is let's train a violence detector and use them to prune our data set. But that requires additional session of training of violence classifier. But what we can do now is we can actually ask Gemini, hey, does this image contain violence? The only caveat of this approach is you have to run it on billions of our data, which may take a long time. So to do this, you need to raise your rate for using foundational models and have reliable access to these foundational models. Google Cloud is unique in that they are offering their own foundational model while being a major cloud provider for all other tasks. And this has been so much more helpful because we can just ask our sales team to raise our rate limit or get more instructions on how to use these models, and everything was just so much easier. So I recommend thinking about using these foundational models for your development workflow. And I also want to emphasize that Google's unique offering of both foundational model and cloud platform was actually really helpful for us.
Thanks so much for that, Taesung. You said a few things there that I think are really important to call out. The fact that we need to consider AI as a part of a platform is critical, and all of the necessary capabilities wrapped around that AI core. I also appreciate the fact that success means not only technology success, but having the humans behind the technology. So we're going to continue to show up with people in the field, with engineers, with support professionals. We're going to continue to deliver programs like our Google Cloud for Startup program, our work with incubators and accelerators in the venture capital community to, again, make sure that we are meeting you where you are, Taesung, where you are, Akash, and make sure that we're able to provide the suite of technical capabilities, but also strategic and go-to-market capabilities to help you be successful as well. So Taesung, thank you so much for that. So I want to wrap up. Akash and Taesung, a huge thanks for joining us today and sharing what are incredibly valuable insights and perspectives from your own experience building really exciting companies. I want to thank everyone for taking some time to listen. I hope you heard a few suggestions or tidbits that you yourself can take away as you're making your own generative AI solution and you're considering who is the right partner for me. Keep in mind, security and privacy early in the process matters. Remember that speed and scalability are two different things. And remember what we heard today on how to think about assessing that capability. Ease of use and support, thinking about model accuracy, cost efficiency, an open ecosystem where organizations like Google Cloud can meet you where you are all critical to help you be successful and get the most that you can out of generative AI. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today, and we'll see you soon.
I'm on calls with leaders of amazing ML companies, their head of data science, their C-suite, and all of them have one goal. How do we get generative AI into our business and into our product? Hi, my name's Aparna Dinakaran, and I'm the founder of Arise AI and Chief Product Officer. Arise is an ML and LLM observability platform. A lot of our customers use Vertex AI to deploy their ML or LLM applications into production. And what we do is we work hand in hand as they deploy using Vertex AI. When you actually put AI into the real world, sometimes it may not work the way you expected it when you built it. What we do is help you evaluate how should you actually improve the prompt template to get a better response. Imagine it's a customer support chatbot for a video conferencing tool. So you might be doing really great on questions about internet connectivity, but not translation. What we do is help you identify those patterns so that you can root cause, hey, I'm not doing well on these type of questions, and here's what I should actually go do to improve it. Arise started off on Google Cloud. We operate on a very lean operations team, And it's really possible because GKE, it just works out of the gate. It helps us scale up, it helps us scale down. We use Google BigQuery to do internal analysis, and then we also use Google Cloud Storage. So I'm excited about Vertex AI kind of offering these generative AI capabilities and being able to get more AI companies to deploy AI successfully. Vertex AI is extremely popular in the ecosystem. And I think the nuanced part about it is the enterprise, call it form factor. It has everything you need in kind of a single click way. You can set up an existing model, you can train it, you can deploy it, it just works. You want it to be really easy to actually deploy those applications, but actually getting it to work in the real world is still really hard. Arise is building a new way to observe LLM applications.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm John Alioto, Startup Ecosystem Evangelist at Google Cloud. I'm excited to be your host today for a panel discussion with some amazing leaders of startup incubators and accelerators. We'll be discussing their programs, what they look for in startups, their thoughts on AI, and how they partner with Google Cloud. We've got a fantastic panel of thought leaders this morning. Joining me are Xiaoyang Xin, the Director of Platform at ERA, Yifan Zhang, the Managing Director at AI2 Incubator, and Kevin O'Toole, Global Head of Accelerators right here at Google. Welcome, panelists. Thank you very much for being here. Would each of you please briefly introduce yourselves and your firms? Xiao, let's start with you.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. I'm Cho. I'm the Director of Platform at ERA, also Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator. It's a mouthful, so we say ERA. We've been investing in New York City since 2011, and we have over 350 portfolio companies. We're a pre-seed accelerator, generalist fund. We have strong themes in healthcare, climate, and enterprise software. And we also follow on invest in our companies using a vehicle called Remarkable Ventures. And we recently expanded that to invest in more climate tech companies with Remarkable Ventures Climate. So that's a little bit about us.
Great. Thank you. Yifan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Yifan. I'm a two-time founder turned investor, now the managing director of AI2 Incubator, which was born from the Allen Institute for AI. We are an early stage investor. We've been investing in AI for the past 7 years, have a highly technical team, and have worked with over 100 founders.
That's amazing. Thank you for being here. Kevin, how about you?
Thanks, John. Hey, everybody. I'm Kevin O'Toole. I've spent the last 11 years at Google. In my current role, I lead our global accelerators as well as our Startup AI Principles Steering Committee, which is focused on responsible AI. Previously at Google, I led special projects focused on product strategy and co-founded Area 120, our incubator. Externally, I've held board advisory roles with the United Nations Development Program, the Danish Sovereign Wealth Fund, and a number of B2C startups.
Very cool. Thank you all very much for being here. I'm interested in the key aspects of your programs: curriculum, mentorship, resources, network. What sets you apart from other accelerators and creates a distinct experience for your startups? Xiao, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think for us, I would have to say it's our mentor network. We have over 1,000 individuals in our mentor network. They're entrepreneurs, investors, subject matter experts, corporate executives. And so throughout the 4-month program, you're meeting those individuals and getting that feedback, so much feedback actually, and synthesizing that while you're with us for the 16 weeks.
And I would say that our programs are more bespoke and that we have 15 founders in the program at a time. And so the curriculum we're able to tailor to what the needs are, like by week for our founders. And our whole team really works as true partners to our founders. We have founders from the first cohort, ERA 1 from 2011, still involved and mentoring startups as well. So I would say that, we like to call it the ERA community magic. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. Yifan?
Yeah, I think with AI2, it's in our name. We have been solely focused on AI for the past 7+ years. And we are born from the Allen Institute for AI, which has actually over 200 AI researchers and engineers publishing fairly recognized papers in the industry. So the fact that we have only AI startups within the incubator, I think is very helpful if you are an AI startup, because you're talking about the same things, using the same tools, experiencing very similar challenges. Our team is also very deeply technical. So my team is majority PhDs. We tend to, as a result, have a pretty custom program for our companies. We don't do cohorts. We kind of take founders as they come, and we only do 5 to 7 incubations per year. So you get a lot of custom support from our team, including technical validation, customer validation. Teams tend to stay with us for 6 to 12 months, and we can start as early as a talented solo founder, potentially even pre-idea, because we'll do things like co-founder matching and other things. So those are some of the things that make us quite unique.
That sounds amazing. Really cool. Thank you. Kevin, how about you?
Sure. Our accelerators at Google are highly global and highly technical. We operate 22 accelerators on 6 continents across 87 countries. And our major differentiator is that each startup, and all of our startups are AI enabled or AI first, but each startup in our accelerators focuses on a deeply technical project that's pivotal to their business success, that the founders execute and solve for over the course of the accelerator with support from Google engineers, product teams, and cross-functional experts. One of the key benefits of that is that upon graduation, every single startup can say and measure what that impact was on their core business or how much more efficient or better it made them.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. So it goes without saying that AI is very hot with startups right now. We see great participation in our cloud AI first programs here at Google, and I'm sure you see something very similar in your cohorts. Given that, starting with Kevin, what is your best advice for founders starting an AI company?
Sure. Yeah. I think the best advice that I can offer to founders is that they focus on 2 fundamentals, I think, that seem to matter no matter what. And they matter even more with AI first startups. The first is that you should deeply focus on and understand your customers. And when your customers are different from your users, study and understand the differences between the two. I think too many products end up in search of meaningful problems rather than being built primarily as solutions to specific needs. And an innate understanding of your users and customers tends to solve for that. The second fundamental that I'd like to highlight is that osmosis is real. You tend to become the sum total of the people you surround yourself with. So socially, you see this all the time with language. And anecdotally, I have a really good friend who spent his whole life in California and then recently relocated to London. And now within like 6 months, he calls elevators lifts and he calls eggplants aubergines. So you get the idea. Your diction and speech patterns end up self-correcting to reflect your community. So as that relates to startups, choosing your investors and co-founders and first hires is something you should do with extreme precision and care. Pick people who are ethical, first principles and systems thinkers, people who balance your skills and weaknesses and who challenge your assumptions. And don't be afraid to surround yourself with people who are wholly more intelligent than you are. Doing so, I don't think makes you look weak. It becomes a strength and makes you a better leader. And in turn, it makes your company better and more successful too.
That's awesome advice. Thank you, Kevin. Sho, what are your thoughts?
Kevin, this is really good advice. I don't know how I'll top that, but I will say that we're founder first, and we're investing at a really early time, in the founders' life cycles of the company. So we are looking at their background, their expertise, the grit that they've shown, what have they done to date, knowing, when to pivot, and setting those deadlines for yourself. We see founders even teleport maybe during and out or even after the program. So we're really looking at the founders and what they've done to date and what we think they can do, beyond the program. So that would be my answer there.
Great advice. Thank you. Yifan, what do you think? What's your advice for AI startups these days?
AI2 Incubator, only invests in AI companies. So I think we have a pretty unique lens on this. And I'll give a pretty counterintuitive answer, which is look for areas with low expectations. Our opinion is, things have gotten much easier in terms of building an AI company, but it's still quite hard to deliver a product that actually works and solves a customer's problems enough to get them to pay for it. So our advice for our founders is to really find a wedge where you can get away with a simple product at the beginning. So that doesn't mean that you can't be ambitious with a massive vision and grow that product over time. But, it really helps if you're early stage, right? 2 people in a room to start with something simple. And then as the underlying AI models and tools get better, you're able to really grow with that versus having to start with something deeply complex.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Just to drill in on that idea of finding a niche a little bit, do you have specific applications or AI areas where you see that startups can really stay ahead of the larger companies that are out there trying to do the same thing?
Absolutely. It's very interesting because, when we think about all of the massive rounds, right, that are being publicized for AI companies today, those companies were actually started maybe a year or 2 ago, right? So for us, we're starting today at that beginning point. And we do see themes changing very quickly within AI. So for example, last year, we were investing in a number of kind of generative content type companies. So generative music, right? Visuals, language. This year, we're actually seeing more vertical applications and in domains that I might call boring domains. So slightly more old school, counterintuitive domains like mortgage, manufacturing, right, legal. Those are domains where you have to have deep domain expertise to be able to design the right product, but also potentially the connections in the network to be able to distribute that product. And we tend to like to see a domain expert in that industry paired with an AI expert who can then help deliver the product to actually solve those pain points. And those combinations we found to be very powerful today.
That is amazing advice. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about partnering with Google Cloud. So, Sho, what would be your advice to startups, how best to leverage their partnership with Google Cloud?
A lot of the founders in our program, they're super excited to get the credits, and the credits are awesome. That's obviously what brings the founders in first. But I would say that the Google Cloud team is really integrated in the tech ecosystem, and they're really incredible sources of support. So seeing them as extensions of the accelerator program that you're in. And what I also found and founders find helpful is educational workshops led by engineers, Google Cloud engineers. And so that's another way to really take advantage of the program. And if you're lucky to be in a city where Google is holding events, to attend those. I think those are really excellent places to expand your network with people who are already in the tech ecosystem. You never know who you're going to meet there. So I think I would share that.
That's great. Kevin, can you share a success story for one of your startups partnering with Google Cloud? And what can startups do to take advantage of the opportunities that Google Cloud partnership offers?
Yeah, definitely. So a quick example of one of our recent portfolio companies that had a really successful build with cloud is Benny. Benny is an AI-powered Chrome extension that gives users the opportunity to buy high-quality resale items. So Benny crawls listings from about 40 secondhand marketplaces in real time while users search for the same item as new. Benny's product is hosted on Google Cloud and utilizes Vision API, Product Search, Vertex AI, BigQuery, as well as the Chrome Web Store. And their aggregation and recommendation engine is just a really phenomenal tool for customers who want to purchase more sustainably and save money on their favorite brands. It's just a really great top of mind example. In terms of what startups can do to take advantage of Google Cloud, candidly, just come work with us. And join a Google Accelerator. We're in the business of helping startups be more successful, and we love connecting great founding teams with the best Google product and engineering experts, along with early access to new products and developer tools. Shameless plug, if you visit startup.google.com, you can learn more about our accelerators all over the world. We operate across North and South America, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, India, Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, and Australia. We love working with audacious founding teams building brilliant AI-first startups.
That's amazing, Kevin. Thank you so much. Yifan, how has your collaboration with Google Cloud influenced your program's offerings and supported your startups?
The credits, like Sho mentioned, are a huge value add to early stage founders where every dollar matters at the beginning, and especially AI founders, where compute is probably the biggest area of spend, right, for AI companies. But beyond that, the team at Google has just been exceptional. Our team at AI2 Incubator has benefited not just in terms of the mentorship to our founders, but also ourselves as we've launched initiatives such as Harmonious, which is our platform to review AI research papers and pull out the things that are most practically useful for our founders. We've gotten advice and support from Google for that launch. In addition, our founders have seen a lot of success in building deeper relationships with Google, starting with the credits. But one success story I'll mention is a company called Udly. So Udly helps with speech coaching. So perfect example is this type of panel where we're online. Udly actually listens in the background and gives you feedback in terms of how you're doing, engagement, all the ums that you're using in your speech. And Udly, as you can imagine, has a lot of storage needs. So Google Cloud Storage has been hugely instrumental to them being able to keep costs low while being able to access the storage that they need. They've also tapped into Google for Startups for strategic advice. And now they actually have a deeper relationship with Google in being a sales training and enablement tool for the actual Google team itself. So we really do think that the credits are the entryway into hopefully a much deeper relationship with Google.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, we will wrap it up. Thank you so much, Sho, Yifan, and Kevin, for sharing your thoughts and insights with us today. If you're watching and you're interested in working with Google Cloud as part of your startup journey, please make sure to talk to your program or partnership manager. Thank you again to the panel, and this was a fascinating discussion. I really appreciate it. It's truly been amazing hearing all your thoughts on these important matters. Until next time, I'm John Alioto. Cheers.
Telmai is a data observability company. The whole mission of Telmai is building trust for enterprises in the data, be it in the ML, AI space, or analytical space. We are helping them build that trust in the data. I'm Mona Rakibe, co-founder, CEO of Telmai. We are thinking in 3 dimensions. First one is, how can we make things faster, cheaper, better for our customers, but also our teams? The second is our platform and our capabilities. We are exploring how can we do root cause analysis using generative AI. The third thing, data infrastructure. We are helping customers build that trust in the data. So we are fueling AIs. We are helping companies get better output of AIs. So we are running experiments right now. What is the impact of bad data on your Gen AI use cases? Customers, they don't have an easy way to look at the entire pipeline and figure out if the data is accurate, reliable, trustworthy. We really, really want to shrink that time to value. So we started leveraging Google Cloud Services from day zero. In our first email account setup, it was on Google Workspace, creating our first documents and sharing and building ideas around that. Then we started building the product prototype on GCP services. So all the way from GKE to BigQuery to prototyping our dashboards. Like, we wanted to rapidly validate our product with the market. Now we are exploring Vertex AI. We continue to kind of piggyback on Google so we can focus on what we are building, and GCP can take care of the rest. Telmai is building a new way to trust your data at low cost at a very high scale.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be today. My name is Stephen Orban, and I look after the ISV ecosystem and the marketplace business here at Google Cloud. And I'm thrilled to be joined here today by Brian O'Shea, the head of sales at Baseten, and Olivier Zielinecki, the Global VP of Cloud Partnerships at MongoDB. So today, we're going to be talking to these world-leading ISVs to get their take on how partnering with Google Cloud has really impacted their growth. So most of the ISVs that we work with today will say that they're able to close larger deals more often and faster when co-selling with us through our marketplace. But you don't have to take just my word for it. Today, we're going to hear from an early stage startup, Brian at Baseten, and an industry-leading database ISV who does a lot of co-sell with us, Olivier at MongoDB, on their experience partnering with us. So Olivier, I'll probably start with you if that's all right. You were once an early stage startup building with Google Cloud, and now you're one of our top performing ISV partners with successes including Partner of the Year, many marketplace wins, a bunch of sophisticated co-sell motions that spread across your sales team. Can you share a little bit with us how you've grown as a partner with Google Cloud and the key technical and go-to-market benefits that you've gotten from this partnership with us?
Absolutely. And thank you, Stephen, for having me here and for these questions. I mean, Google is one of our most valuable partners. We wouldn't be where we are today without the partnership with Google. I think when you are an early stage partner in ISV, it's only about winning deals, any deals out there. And there is several things that the partnership, with Google at the early stage has helped us for. One is you want to be available on as many regions as possible so that you don't limit yourself from a use case perspective or region or geographical region or what customer potentially could be using, your product or not, right? And the second is the marketplace. Marketplace is a great tool. It provides single billing for the customer. It provides the ability to use infrastructure funding to purchase the ISV, and it also builds your credibility as a partner with Google, right? With a partner like Google, it helps build the credibility. You're doing first deal on marketplace with a large customer, with a startup, with a medium-sized customers, and that workload's going to grow over time. It's going to grow on the marketplace, right? So at the early stage, that's really what the partnership for us felt like. And then as we grow into an ISV, that's when the fun starts. We really spent a lot of time speaking with the GCP sales leaders, with the ecosystem leaders, getting to know each other and building co-sell and go-to-market plan at regional level and industry level so that we're really in it together on select deals, select customers, And we're also building joint solution together, right? So not only we're aligning sales leaders so that we're building a co-sell strategy in each region, we're selling our value proposition to the customer because we've got one joint goal, right, is to help our customers. So if we're able jointly to go in front of our customers, right, this helps them. Instead of speaking to two people, to two different voices, they're having one voice in front of them. This is how it will work for, in our case, MongoDB on GCP, and we will help you to get there. So we have to help the GCP ecosystem get familiar with our ISVs, right? Whether it's the CEs, whether it's the ISVs team, etc. And then there is the funding. Funding from Google allow us to accelerate the launch of new workloads, of migrates, and help our customer ensure that they've made the right product and help them also with professional services, right? And we have people as we grow, over time, as we grow our footprint with Google as a partner, we do have more and more people that are dedicated to Mongo that helps us get the right meeting with the right person, that will help us select the right accounts, where we should be speaking and where we should not be speaking, right? And also when there is escalation or things that we need to solve, we go towards those people. So I think the partnership with Google has been fantastic, is fantastic, and I would recommend it, at any stage partners out there. I hope that helped provide some clarity to your questions here.
Yeah, thanks, Olivier. That's super helpful. And if I had to just maybe summarize a little bit, we've built a number of unique things together. We found a way to position that both to customers and to our sellers in a way where it's clear how everybody wins. And then we've really started to scale our co-sell motion so that our sellers are aligned on the accounts that we're working on together and how we're going to sort of have a plan of attack for each of them in the customer journey in it. So super excited about the growth that we've seen together there. Maybe just one other question for you before I pass it over to Brian. For other ISVs that are maybe early on in their go-to-market journey with us, what would be some advice that you have for them? What are like the top 2 to 3 things that they should consider as they start the journey with us?
No, it's a great question. And I've mentioned it like a few minutes ago. I think Marketplace is not only great for Google, it's great for us as an ISV, right? It just helps us get into budget much quicker, get the customer to sign commit deals and to execute agreements and to just start your product, right? So you have to educate internally our sellers, our MongoDB team, right? So make sure they understand what's in it for them by pushing Marketplace, and especially what's in it for them for the customers, right? Having 2 contracts is not great. That's one. The second is that, when you're an early stage ISV, you have to be very crisp and very articulated when you speak to Google go-to-market team and sales leaders and account. What is your differentiators? What's the value proposition of your product on GCP for the customer, and not make that generalist. For when I speak to my team, I've got a large team that dedicated only to Google, and they're prospecting or sending emails or asking people to meet from Google. I mean, my first ask is like, this cannot be just a general email. You have to be very crisp. What is the difference of MongoDB on Google for the financial industry, for the automotive, for specific use case, etc. So that would be my second point, right? And then you want to make sure that once you're partnering, right, with in certain industry, in certain region, right, that you actually follow up on your plan, right? Because we get a lot of time where you only have meetings and nothing happens after. And it's not always, and many times it's not the fault of Google, right? I mean, they're a big company. They have many partners. It is our responsibility, right? When we decide to partner with Google, one of the largest hyperscalers in the world, it's our responsibility to ensure that you actually follow up on our promises and the action items that came up of a lot of those meetings, right? Google gives us the opportunity to attend a lot of Google Next and a lot of meetings, a lot of offsites, and be part of some of their meetings. And just like today, right, they give us this opportunity. So you want to ensure that you actually follow up and do the work and provide value, because once you provide value to a GCP sales leaders, he will always have the open door policy for you and come back and help you grow with him. So those will be my feedbacks.
Yeah. So nothing creates momentum like momentum. So making sure we create the early momentum and have the joint value proposition nailed between our teams, and then lean into Marketplace. And, look, we have, as of our last quarterly earnings, more than $75 billion of commitments from customers collectively to Google Cloud. And they have 2 ways to satisfy those commitments. One is to obviously consume Google Cloud services, and the other is to by ISVs on Marketplace. So like you called out, it's very convenient and easy for customers to continue to also consume more ISVs, leveraging their commitments, which hopefully helps you close larger deals faster as well. So thanks for that. Super exciting. So Brian, maybe I'll position over to you at this point. Base10 was selected to participate in the Springboard program that was really geared towards acting as a accelerator for AI startups like yourselves. What have you gained from the experience so far?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. It's been awesome thus far. We're a small company, almost exclusively an engineering company, and having the Google resources to help us onboard onto Marketplace, which has been a game changer for us. Acquire more resources. It's been fantastic. We've been a partner with Google for a long time, and we've from the get-go had this kind of shared ambition of making sure that we are helping our customers, this shared vision of making sure we're helping our AI customers bring their products to market. Most of our customers have finite resources. They all have finite resources. And they're developing AI products, but they haven't solved the last mile issue of bringing models at scale into production. It's super complex and expensive. And to run production inference performantly, reliably, and security, it's extraordinarily difficult. And what you need is the experience and resources that both Google and Base10 bring to bear. Through our ISV Springboard, we found that companies serious about putting AI into production need to optimize inference models, the applications, and the hardware stack. And with the software, our software, our team, and our partnership with Google, we build clear solutions and practices that turn serious projects into products.
So, I mean, what I'm hearing is first have an awesome product that solves a big problem for customers, which Base10 has in spades. And we share the pursuit and the obsession with making sure that we help customers get their AI and their models and the development they're doing around it into production as fast as possible. So maybe on that end, there's a ton of innovation going on around Gen AI in particular. And things are moving very quickly, changing quickly. Maybe can you specifically outline some of the technical and go-to-market advantages that we've had working together for your full stack platform?
Yeah, that's a great question because the pace of innovation is crazy and obviously super exciting. It's awesome. But from a technical perspective, I think one of the biggest things for our customers using Google Cloud is the strength of the ecosystem. Building a truly great AI product and scaling it to many, many customers, which is the end goal for all of our customers, means that you need the best possible people, the best technologies, and the best partners. Our customers have incredible people, unquestionably, but those people have to have the right technologies and partners supporting them. They are in order to do the amazing things they want to achieve. A big part of that success is meeting the customer where they are. And our belief in the Google partnership has enabled us to offer a self-hosting solution for GCP where the customer can leverage their virtual private cloud, our virtual private cloud, or both, giving them the greatest flexibility, the greatest security, and the greatest scale across, horizontally and vertically, meaning across multiple different regions or just scaling massively within a single region. And it's because of that conviction that we're cutting our self-hosted price in half between now and December 24th, kind of an early Christmas present for our shared customers.
Yeah. So having optionality for customers, making sure that you have the best tech and however they want to deploy it. And certainly we concur, and we see, particularly when it relates to model development and AI, customers who some want to manage service where they don't have to manage everything, and some want it running in their VPC or tenant so that they can have greater control over the IP and the data that goes into it. So I think that's a big technical win between us. But we have thousands of partners and a range of maturity. You have MongoDB on one end, who's super mature and doing co-sell at scale with us. But to help emerging ISVs grow to become these future partners of the year like MongoDB, we've developed programs to help accelerate that growth. You heard one from Helene announced earlier, our Springboard program, which offers a 12-week guided experience to build and develop go-to-market assets and really support the partner's growth to become co-sell ready. So they have landed a lot of the best practices that Olivier just talked through access to Google AI experts, hands-on guidance to document technical reference architectures to do things like enable our customer engineers, and of course, support getting listed on our marketplace. A huge thanks to both of you, Brian and Olivier, for joining us today. Certainly, there's a lot of experience that you have and perspectives that I think everybody who's watching this can learn from as they're potentially embarking on a partnership with us. And thank you, everybody, for listening in. To those that we're already partnered with and rocking and rolling, thanks a lot for your trust and your partnership. We don't take it for granted, and we're really looking forward to our continued growth. And to those of you who are contemplating just getting your business started with Google Cloud alongside some of these great partners like we've talked to today, I encourage you to look at some of our programs like Google for Startups Cloud program, the Google Cloud Partner Advantage portal, of course, our marketplace, and then, of course, the newly announced program that Helene mentioned in her opening, our Springboard program. Thanks, everybody, for your time.
Criminals are very well tech-enabled. Next big thing in AI is how to stay ahead of the bad AI. There is plenty of new types of behavior that nobody's seen before. So you can't write a model for it. You have to approach it with a different approach. We're working with Google to ensure that our good AI is better AI and staying ahead of the bad actors. So our customers or anybody within the financial services industry, we work closely with Google Doc AI and Google AI for anti-money laundering. We build what we call detectors. And they're like mini models. These are techniques and routines and algorithms and models to look for certain patterns of types of behavior. So you can plug a bunch of detectors together to go and look at a particular type of payment fraud or a particular type of terrorist financing that might exist within the banking community. And we can do all that in real time. So we have a particular focus around that growing area of threat. Criminals have figured out that they can set up mule accounts, sometimes legitimate, sometimes they're stolen identities or synthetic identities, and they can snatch the money from the push payment fraud that occurs. By taking advantage of the technology that we have on the GCP type platform, AI machine learning has enabled us to look for anomalies based purely on the data. We look at the information that people provide to onboard themselves and open up an account. We identify the potential risks, and we can highlight and stop many of those accounts being set up. We were traditionally on a different cloud platform, and with Google, the support that we have has been absolutely superb. And now, GCP's customer base of something approaching 900 to 1,000 financial services institutions offers us a great opportunity for us to collaborate on the platform. So it's not just about the technology, it's not just about the marketplace, it's working with the sales teams and the field teams as well. Understanding more of Google's techniques and approaches to make looking for the bad behavior more effective is something that we're particularly interested and excited about working with Google. Resistance AI is building a new way to take advantage of AI machine learning to look for anomalies.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jen Diffenderfer, and I'm a director at Google Cloud. I lead customer engineers in the startup space, which means we get to work with some amazing entrepreneurs and technologists like LiveX AI. I'm excited to have Jia Li here with me today. We are going to speak about how partnerships can help startups build with leading technology, drive innovation, and specifically how the collaboration between Google Cloud and NVIDIA has helped Jia's team to accelerate their AI development for LiveX AI. Jia, welcome. And could you please briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company?
Thank you, Jen. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. My name is Jia Li. I'm an AI technologist. I have been in the AI field, seeing different waves of AI, and got super excited about how Gen AI is impacting different verticals. I've been working in small companies like my own, as well as serving as AI leadership roles, like on Google, overseeing the full stack of AI products in the past. And I get super excited to be an entrepreneur and started to work on LiveX AI while I was teaching at Stanford as an adjunct professor. And LiveX AI is building AI agents to empower businesses, small and big, to offer every consumer a VIP experience throughout the entire customer journey. We work closely with B2C companies, from sales assistant to product education, from customer support to churn prevention. It's exciting to see how Gen AI and the AI agent is making impact to companies with or without AI expertise. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. All right, so we are going to jump right in. So, Jia, could you tell us a little bit about how LiveX AI's generative AI agents leverage GKE's capabilities to offer real-time, human-like customer experiences, and what impact this has on customer retention and engagement?
Completely. Every company wants happy customers. They want higher growth. They want lower customer support cost and better customer retention. And that's exactly how LiveX AI want to empower the businesses to achieve. And we have been working closely with GKE. Although we are a fast-growing but lean company, GCP and GKE actually provide a great opportunity for us to move fast without worrying about building our own cloud and servers to deploy AI agents. And our products of LiveX AI Churn Control and LiveX AI Agent are also offered on Google Cloud Marketplace that can be conveniently adopted by companies on Google Cloud. So for our customers who are providing the best experience to their consumers, this means it can leverage AI and AI agent to provide to up to 85% reduction in customer support costs, giving very efficient AI-driven resolutions. And it also means significant improvement in first response time from industry standards of hours to just seconds. And obviously, this helps significantly on the customer satisfaction and reducing returns by approximately 15% due to more efforts that is needed in order to understand how to use products, or some frustration generated on top of that. And also, many of the customers could leverage our sales assistant to generate almost 5+ types of leads conversion, as well as we can help the customers to provide much better customer experience so that we can generate much better user retention. In some of the customers we collaborated with, within 1 week, AI agent helped them to reduce 30% of churn prevention. So that is impressive to see how Gen AI has been helping businesses, companies who are selling product, services, providing services, and even helping with hardware devices on it.
Those are some very impressive results. So congratulations on some of those early wins. So next, I want to talk a little bit more about the NVIDIA and Google Cloud partnership and how you've worked together with the organizations. What are some of the key benefits of the partnership from a technical perspective?
The idea of collaboration started when we are all at NVIDIA's GTC, and the three teams met and said, okay, like right now, AI agents are very promising, but there are two big challenges. One is accuracy. The other is latency. And we were thinking, can we combine the best capabilities of the three companies? We can think of the best AI agent, best AI models, and best computation and flexible and scaling cloud. And we are thinking, hey, can we target to develop this, all these within just 3 weeks so that we can share with the rest of the community and market about this at Google Cloud Next. So the three teams come together and work closely, seamlessly, almost like one team, and we made it. And within 3 weeks, we have the best of AI agent developed together, and by proudly partnering with Google Cloud and NVIDIA. And we're all very excited about the potential impact in the field. And it has been featured at Google Cloud Next, and it creates great, impressive impact on some of our customers. They have been leveraging it to help their sales and customer support and product education, help reduce returns, etc., leveraging the best technology.
So what are some of the features or optimizations of the NVIDIA A100 GPUs and the NVIDIA NIM microservices contributed to, I believe it was over 6 times the acceleration in response generation speeds? So how do these components work together to deliver such a significant performance boost?
Yeah, everybody got that pleasant surprise when things come together. And essentially, I think GKE was paired with A2 Ultra VMs powered by NVIDIA A100. In this case, we were using 80 gigabytes Tensor Core GPUs, as well as NVIDIA's NIM inference microservices. So it's truly the best combination of hardware, algorithm, and software optimization.
That's amazing. And so one last question for you. How has the use of GKE and NVIDIA technologies helped Livex achieve 66% lower operational costs? What are some of the specific cost savings mechanisms involved?
Yeah, as a lean company, we want to move fast and with light development efforts on for example, cloud and data processing frameworks, etc., etc. So GKE really simplifies the AI training and serving on NVIDIA GPUs, helps us to integrate with distributed computing and data processing frameworks. And in addition, GKE Autopilot makes it very easy to scale applications to different clients, especially when building multi-model AI agents with high accuracy for brands and companies with high volumes of real-time customer interactions. It helps us to manage the underlying compute of a Kubernetes cluster without LiveX AI's team needing to config or monitor it.
These are some great recommendations. Jia, thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. And thank you all for listening. I hope learning about the impact of partnerships and how they can have an impact on innovation, including enhancing real-time customer experiences, boosting performance, and reducing costs like they have for LiveX AI, inspires you to not only accelerate your own development, but with NVIDIA and Google Cloud as your partners. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jia.
Thank you. And I hope everyone can benefit from Gen AI.
Thank you to all our moderators, partners, and startup customers who spoke at the Startup Summit. We truly appreciate your time and insights. Thank you to all our attendees. We hope you leave with valuable strategic advice to further accelerate your startup journey. Don't forget to apply for the Google for Startups Cloud program and register for all our new launches. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you all here again next year.